I'm no good at taking good advice, and I'm self-careless, so don't tell me twice that lately I've been so stuck in my head that I forget just about everything my therapist said. Maybe I'm self-helpless, maybe I'm self-helpless. Maybe I'm self-helpless. Maybe we are all self-helpless.
Hey everyone, welcome to Self-Helpless. I'm Delanie Fischer, and today I have a lovely and hilarious guest who also happens to be my brother-in-law, Will Mulford. Will has lived abroad for about 15 years. He's traveled to dozens of countries. He's lived in a handful of different countries, including India and Egypt. He has experience with being a digital nomad and picking up all kinds of different jobs and gigs that allow him to keep this lifestyle going. So, in this episode, Will offers so much great guidance for those of you who are curious about doing a stint abroad or traveling from place to place or moving permanently. But also, there are so many great pieces of advice in here, even if you don't have an interest in, going international in any way. But maybe you're feeling kind of stuck where you are. So for you, maybe it's about being open to opportunities and experiences outside of your town or your city or your state. It doesn't have to be this all or nothing, either you stay where you are forever or you move to the other side of the world permanently. So Will is sharing awesome tips for how you can live and work abroad for free or very affordably, even a cool program for teenagers that I had never heard of, what kind of industries you can work in where although you're living modestly, but you also have access to luxury as well. He also shares his favorite tools and apps for making travel simple, including how to find the cheapest flights, where you can live for an entire year without needing a visa, where you can easily extend a visa indefinitely, a country that's really amazing for digital nomads right now, where you can buy a beautiful house for $10,000. What? His favorite method of packing, what he packs and what he leaves behind, what can serve more than one purpose, what he always wears on a plane. And then he also opens up about the highs and lows of this kind of lifestyle, especially the impact that it's had on his relationships, how to be mindful when travel or moving frequently might be a counterproductive escape and a coping mechanism for avoiding tough feelings, and ultimately what he has learned about himself through this lifestyle. There's so much in this episode, but before we get into it, just a quick announcement. I have an email list that you can join. It's totally free and might be especially helpful for you creatives, multi hyphenates, digital nomad types out there. I love to share different gig and media opportunities that I hear about in my space. You're notified when new podcast episodes are available. And I also have my first little book coming out this winter, and I'll be sharing some goodies around that very soon. So you can join the D list at my website, delaniefischer.com. You can also just click the link in this episode's description. And again, it's all totally free resources. All right, here is my chat with Will. Will, you beautiful, beautiful man. Thanks for being on the
Oh,
podcast.
oh, thank you, Miss Delaney, sister-in-law de jour. Not de jour.
Of the day. God, I hope not.
I meant, a la mode.
I love it. First of all, where are you currently living? Let's start there.
Well, I am currently living in Tbilisi, Georgia. Georgia meaning the country, not the
Oh,
state. Came here quite literally by chance, and then I decided to stay.
okay. I didn't know that you were living there at the moment.
I
Let's
didn't either.
so this was a surprise to you as well then.
Pretty
So
much.
what brought you to Georgia? Was it a friend? Was it a job? Were you just curious about going there?
For your listeners, so that they know in advance,
Yeah.
I've been living in India for the last 14 years. And that in COVID, I changed. I shifted to Cairo, so in Egypt, and I was going back and forth between India and Egypt. After leaving India, everything has become really, I wouldn't want to call it difficult, or I would just say it's a little confusing because was deeply obsessed about India. When I decided that wasn't really working, which was when I was 30, I shifted to Egypt and loved it, hated it, still love it, still hate it, and now I've been in this kind of clusterfuck between countries trying to figure
Mm.
out which is home. feeling like not really feeling it in India because of XYZ, feeling a little isolated in Cairo and not really loving the massive, massive, massive city of 25
Mm.
million.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
what happened was I was going back and forth between India and Cairo, and suddenly my visa expired. So I was like,
Oh.
shit, I need to get a new visa. So let me find a place that is cheap
Mm.
and has a cheap flight from India. So I used this is a hot tip for your listeners.
Ooh, we love a hot tip here.
I, I use Google Flights. You type in Google Flights, you look up the explore option. You say, I want to leave from Los Angeles on this day. Explore the map will show you the cheapest place that you can fly to on that day.
Oh,
So I was like,
wow.
I'm
So
going to
smart.
Georgia.
Oh my gosh. So that's how you got there, by Google Flights.
I couldn't get the visa. I realized that there was no embassy in Georgia. It was in Armenia.
Oh my goodness.
So, well, I guess that is bad planning on my part, but wonderful happenstance because this place is amazing, like beyond. It's the most beautiful
Really?
place I think I've ever been. And that is hyperbolic, but it's also true.
Wow. So you feel like you could be in Georgia indefinitely then?
I'm not sure. So, right now I'm stepping into this lovely city, but everyone speaks Georgian or Russian. Not really sure how to put myself out there, so I'm just kind of retreating and chilling at home, which is also a good
Gotcha. That's
thing.
kind of overwhelming because I mean, you do speak a few languages, right? What languages do you speak?
I speak German, so I learned German when I was 16 because I lived in Germany. Another hot tip for the listeners. If you're in high school listening and you want to go abroad, go to your local Rotary Club and tell them that you want to apply for their Rotary Ambassador program and what youth
Interesting.
ambassador. And what they will do if you get selected, which it's not very difficult, you just have to do like the most fucked up application ever. I think including I had to get a prostate exam.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah.
Rotary, very thorough, that Rotary.
They will send you to any random country and they will pay you to do that.
What? How come I've
Yeah.
never heard of this? You're already dishing out so many hot tips.
German,
We
then
have
after
German.
German.
Yes.
Like you, I had a little India obsession. Delanie,
Yes,
if you don't know, learned Punjabi.
I did.
And I learned Hindi. Now we'll switch into Arabic because, like my sister, I've
Oh
been
my
learning
gosh.
Arabic. I think it's also about, like, when it comes to language, about training our brains. Like,
Mm.
I'm not going to learn Georgian, that I know. But I will learn, like, the numbers. I will learn how to say, like, give me this. I will learn, like, after learning so many languages, I know what are the words that are required for
Yeah.
kind of daily living.
Yes. This theme comes up a lot on the podcast where people can get very stuck in all or nothing thinking. And I love how you're finding that happy medium for yourself of I'm not going to learn the whole language, but I
Oh,
am going
no.
to learn the main things that I know that I'm going to need to use. And you'll be able to get by just having a handful of things that you need to learn
Yes.
that you know
That's
well.
inshallah, that's what we're hoping.
TBT.
We yeah, I will let you know how that goes.
You grew up born and raised in
That's
Rockford, Illinois. I mean, so how did you go from Illinois to, no, I'm going to move to India and live over there for 14 plus years? I mean, what, how did that
that
happen?
happened. This is props to my fam. Um, we are like very global family, like very
Mhm.
Midwestern, but sky's the limit when it comes to the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. Firstly, I guess the first thing that this started was my mom, and this is a really great thing that I wish everyone could do. She was like a crazy, she loves to travel. And
Yes.
then she got married and got trapped in Rockford, Illinois. I mean, she's also from the Dells, so it's Wisconsin Dells, so it's not like, a big metro.
Sure.
But her family were like always traveling. Like her sisters were having love affairs in Spain. Her brothers were like pimping it up in Austria and Germany. Her mother was like almost got engaged to a Mexican tycoon.
Oh my gosh. What a family legacy. This is incredible. I'm so
Yes.
glad that I'm part of it.
I know, me too. She just has to leave the confines of California and get on over here. Don't worry, we're gonna get you. So my mom, when we were each 7 years old, she was like, I'm gonna take you anywhere in the world that you want to go. And it was called our
Wow.
7-year-old trip. I
Now,
was the guinea.
why number 7?
Probably after 7, she was like,
I got to get the
I
fuck
need to,
out of here.
I'm sure. I was at this time obsessed with
Yeah.
Egypt. Like I was like baby Egyptologist, also Cleopatra. So,
Love it. And that was
so
from
I was
just like being exposed to it in school and learning about.
Yeah, my
Okay.
neighbors like gave me a coloring book and I went crazy. And so everyone would give me like like my grandma would tape all of these documentaries and like give me all this information. So I was always surrounded by like the idea of history, the idea of the world, about
Mm.
culture. And then suddenly my mom gives me this book, which is like a book about France, and inside of it were- is is a ticket to France.
That was your birthday
Yes.
gift, a book of France with the ticket to France.
Yes.
Cute.
And I wanted to go to Egypt, but she was like a little reticent about going to Egypt alone as a single woman with a child in
Mm.
1987. And that was an amazing trip. I spent 6 hours in the Louvre.
It's a 7-year-old.
Yeah. I was like,
Mm.
we're not leaving until I have
Every little
seen
thing.
everything that I need to see. Like that stayed with me has stayed with me my whole life.
Right.
And that really set the tone for like all of the
Yeah.
travel that I did. And I had more things in high school, like went to Vienna for an exchange, and I got to go for a year to like the spiritual heartland of India,
Oh,
Hindu
wow.
heartland, which is Varanasi. So after the first year, I was like, yes. Yeah, and I got
Okay.
a scholarship from the United States government
Oh,
to study
wow.
Hindi. After that, I ended up meeting a woman that changed my life. She was like a fairy godmother, really. She gave me her house to take care of for the summer. She was a Canadian that lived in Jaipur. She ended up staying in India for 40 years, built a tiny little cottage on the grounds of a luxury hotel that she was like the first guest of in 1978.
Oh my gosh.
She and I got on so well. She was like, I have to go to the mountains. This is meaning Himalayas. Can you take care of the house for me? So I entered into this tiny little cottage, like I'm talking cottage core style,
Yeah.
thatched roof, like
Wow.
bookshelves everywhere, all of it. Like, I mean, there were so many books, there were so many fabrics, there were so many beautiful pillows. The kitchen was exquisite, and it was so done in like the most simple perfection, like that one cottage that you stayed in Ireland.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and I got to live in the grounds of this hotel, going through her archives, going through her diaries. Like, she allowed me to go through her diaries.
I was gonna say, oh, like, really made yourself at home, Will.
So that has been I feel how things feel. If they feel good, I do them.
So, what has been the upsides and downsides of leading with your feelings, right? Like you navigate the world and where you live and what you do by saying, this feels good and this no longer feels good. I'm going to pivot. What has been really amazing about that experience and what are the challenges?
I'll go with the challenges first,
Okay.
because I think like when we talk about travel or like nomadic lifestyle,
Yeah.
I'm going through it right now where I'm like, shit, what the fuck am I doing here?
Mm.
It's that. And what I would say is that there's a lot of unknowns. And the position that I or anyone that decides to live in this life, especially in like offbeat places, like you want to live in London. Okay, the reason I've never moved to Europe is because the visa issues are so much more and the expenses are so much more.
Yeah.
And I'm not like a corporate person. So that means I like find myself in like these weird visa-less places or places where I can kind of like exist under the radar, which you would also be surprised how easy it is to do that. Hot tip for your listeners: legal immigration. Um, but FYI, Egypt, anyone
Right.
that wants to go, you can extend your visa
Mm.
forever.
Oh, wow.
You can just go to the office and be like, they are like $35 and then you get your visa extended.
Oh,
If you
wow.
overstay your visa, you just pay at the airport. Georgia, 365 days visa free for Americans.
Mm.
Administrative things can be really difficult because it's really hard to understand and navigate.
Right.
And then on top of it is like the kind of burden that happens with not knowing what I'm doing, because leading with my heart or leading with my feelings, it brings a lot of like amazing experiences, beautiful interactions, and incredible opportunities. But I never know when those are going to come or what they're going to be. And
Right.
I worked for this company for 10 years, but in a capacity that was like not very professional, but I would say it was like a professional job. But it doesn't really look strong on paper.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, I've done so many things in so many different industries, but not in like a targeted way. So it's a lot more of like surface level instead of deep. But then the things
Right.
that I've done deeply, I've done very deep. That people are like, it seems too specific. And then being a foreigner always in foreign places, it changes a bit like that natural sense of confidence, like about how I want to position myself out there in like a work setting. So that's like a career thing that can be kind of challenging, but I will also thank my dad for being a stockbroker. So that really helps
Mm.
because he knows exactly what to do with money.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sorry for everyone out there that doesn't have that, but I would really recommend for anyone that wants to get on this to like really understand very clearly what your finances are and how they work, because
Right.
a lot of unexpected things happen. And I'm coming from a very lucky position that I can like take all of these random jobs. But I've also been lucky in the sense that I've found really great people to work with, and I understand very greatly why people feel that they're not able to do the things that they want because they weren't
Mm.
given the privileges that other people were given.
Right.
So I live very, 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 very modestly. Like that
Yeah.
is, I take it very seriously. Like the life that I'm living, I want to live that authentically.
Mhm.
Fortunately, though, I've always worked in luxury worlds. So I've always found
Mm.
myself in very, very nice scenes, very fun and
Right.
for free.
So you mentioned that the upsides are beautiful, unexpected experiences, right? I mean, you never know where things are going to take you, which is very exciting.
Mhm.
But also that comes with a lot of uncertainty. I would
Sure.
imagine anxiety, maybe fear. So how do you manage those feelings of uncertainty?
Mhm.
How do you ground yourself when your environment and home changes quite a bit?
That has been the question of my 20s that I've really
Mm.
struggled with. So before I was like very all over the place. And if something's not serving me, I'd be like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Now, 30, coming on to 35, I've decided to be like here because I have all like amenities that are very nice, great access to food and beautiful nature. That I'm like, okay, no partying. I've partied for 15 years. Like I've been like
Mm.
having the blast, and I always believe that I'm very regulated and whatever. I have like good strength. That is not true. I have no will control. So now I'm like, I will create boundaries.
Right.
Everything I have to do is like right now, my whole life is based around cooking my food because when my food situation is not sorted, I become like manic.
You're a hangry
So, and
bitch.
then, yeah, and I make everyone miserable. I mean, like this, no partying. Like, even though there's like so many clubs and whatever stuff, I was like, do I really need to be out until 5 in the morning, like
Oh,
dancing,
wow.
like in a techno club?
How do you stay up that late? I can barely make it past 10
I
PM.
have lots of energy. For me, I've been lucky as well. My office has always started at 11, so I've never ever had to wake up early
Gotcha.
to work.
Right. Right.
Except when I worked in a hotel as a cleaner 2 years ago. That I
Ooh,
had to be there at 7 in the morning. I would say like that's kind of my new thing, and exercise. So
okay.
I always know that exercise really grounds me. If I don't have that, I get like procrastinating and lazy and like very horny, and it's not a
Interesting combination.
yeah, because I have nothing to do. So I'm like,
Right, right.
and that is destructive. It's time to channel all of those quote unquote bad behaviors. I've had like,
Right.
oh, today, God, I'm sorry. I can't work. I just smoke a joint today. Like, just That's not correct. But that's because I went out and I found exactly what type of scene I want, and I learned how to make it work. This was not like a fucking joyride on the beach.
Right.
I went through some like intense moments in my life alone in India and Egypt, like that I actually have the strength to do this, and that I also believe so strongly in the vision of what it is that my life is, that I'm not returning. Do you know, like,
Yeah, even in those
vision
hard
of my life
moments.
was like, I could just be back in the US right now and I could be doing this, but I was like, fuck that shit. I am not working a 9 to 5 and also having to pay and also having to drive and have to pay my health insurance and to have to pay my car insurance and have to pay my fucking rent. Because if I'm living in Los Angeles, like that's going to be $1,500 with 3
At
fucking rooms.
least. Oh yeah. So as far as keeping yourself grounded in these times, right? You mentioned exercise, making sure you know, like you have your food that you want, and like you're cutting down on partying, maybe like recentering yourself, right? It's reevaluating your habits, stuff like that. Let's talk about how you've been able to do this and how the cultural differences or the cost of living where you have been is so different to where you came from. I mean, how much does it cost to live in India and Egypt?
Okay, great. Love that question. Firstly, every country outside of the United States is cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay. Even England. Okay. Let's say London is more expensive, but the quality of life, like the quality of what you're buying, you know, Western Europe is expensive, but your quality of living is much stronger. India is, I was making a salary of my, like, let's say it was like $700 a month.
Okay.
And I'm able to never get stressed ever about
$700 in US dollars.
Yeah. I also worked up to that. So I started my first salary, I started on 20,000 rupees, which $285. And I was like, I was bicycling everywhere. I was like making sure that I was living in, and at that time I was in my early 20s. So I was like, that was like really making me very happy. I was like, I'm independent. I'm able to do, and I'm able to live in India. But it made me really strong. And that goes into that idea about like what I was saying of like authenticity when it comes to finances and living.
Right. Wow.
So the great thing in India is that like you have so many services. Things are so insanely, because of the amount of people that live there, like certain goods and services are very cheap, like plentiful, cheap, and in a sense they are subsidized by the population. So example being your telephone bill. My telephone, which was 30 gigabytes of internet a month, I paid $3 a month.
Oh my gosh. Wild. Yeah.
Like 1 billion people are using that telecom industry. So they are able to make the same profits, but also make sure that everyone is able to be on it. Egypt, that's where I really learned about like working in Egypt with an Egyptian salary. At one point, that was like really difficult because I was like, what the fuck? This inflation is like making it impossible to live here. Like, it's much closer to the idea of like the United States and how so many of your listeners are going to be feeling the same way when they listen to this.
Right.
That's where in Egypt I saw that really real and very apparent. Then what happened, I come to Georgia, and Georgia is much more expensive. It's half the price of Europe.
Okay, so you mentioned $700 a month in India. What was the lifestyle like? Were you renting a room? Did you rent an apartment?
I always go for the cheapest thing I can find. If you live in a metro, okay, you already know how, like, what your price point is going to be. It's very easy to budget in India. And it's very easy to find flatmates, and people are so nice. There are these websites called like Workaway.
Yes.
Get on those websites. Like you want to leave the country. It's like a $30 membership fee for 2 years, I believe. And there's like a hostel. Oh, there's like an arts community. There's teaching orphans. There's helping refugees. There's like taking care of someone's dog. Like you can find so many opportunities that if life is feeling like really unbearable where you are, get those experiences, because this type of like nomadic living or moving is not just for one specific class of people. Like, so something like Workaway is an amazing opportunity. I can help fix someone's house, or I can do woodworking, or I can work in a hostel, or I can work in a hotel, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I mean, the sky's the limit. Every country in the world has these opportunities. And then once someone embarks on that journey, you meet people that you would just never meet. You get into situations that you'd never know.
what other kind of tools, apps, stuff like that has helped you with your nomadic living and moving around and stuff?
Workaway, Google Flights, Explore option. Then there is the third, and this is equally important. This is called Astrocartography, and you can find it. It's the best.
What is this?
I'm learning about it now because I'm very, very, very passionate about this.
Oh,
It is a type of astrology where at the time of your birth, the planets were cycling wherever they were. So you're born
yeah.
at like 6:35, boom. There is a map which shows all of like these axes of the planets as they show up. All of those planets, they are activated in different areas of the world. In example, through India, I have so many different lines. That's why, like, I'm so charged in India because
Yes.
there's
Oh
so
yeah, you
much.
did my line. You did my
Yes,
lines once. Can't remember
up
what the
north.
results were, but yes.
Yes, I can see that it's true from my own experience. Let's say someone is wanting to make their shift. They don't know where to go. First, think about like what is the place that like you love? Is it I love, like I studied Spanish in school. I really would like to go to a Spanish speaking country because I know I can like learn it a little bit faster and like integrate faster or
Sure.
whatever your interest is. I love Japan. I love anime, blah blah.
Yeah.
Open that map and see where your lines fall. I love K-pop. Do I have any lines that are going through Korea? And read about what those lines symbolize.
Is there a website we can go to?
Astro.com.
Okay.
And then astro.com, and you have to go to like free horoscopes. And then you click on this thing that says locational astrology.
After we're done, I'm doing my lines. I'll
Type in
tell you
your
when I get
do
it.
it, and it can be really not good things. It's not like
Mm,
all a charming map.
fascinating.
If two lines cross, that's a very important place because it's two energies meeting each other. I've based a lot of travels and trips off of this,
And have
and
you
I
felt
think
it worked? Like it was aligned with what
sure,
it said?
for sure, for
Oh,
sure.
wow.
And if you want to like get romantic, you could do a little 90-day
Yes.
fiance vibe and get onto some dating websites, Tinder, whatever, and just
Yes.
randomly go to a foreign country and be like, babe, I'm here, let's get married.
Well, that's I wanted to ask you about maintaining relationships and forming
Oh,
relationships as this nomad. What has it been like to make friends, form romantic relationships?
well, that has proven to be really difficult,
Mm,
and, friendship has always been really rewarding. Like, that's been something that I will always say traveling has been, like, one of my most incredible things is that I've just made such great friends, and I've kept so many of them in my pocket with me, and we go along with each other,
mm.
and what I love is when I meet people, let's say I met, like, really cool, some like amazing people when I went to Kenya. And I like still am in contact with them and like meeting them in like random places
That's
or,
cool.
like because I've like met so many people, I have so many couches to stay in. So I had
Right,
one
right.
like friend that was like, she took pity on me because I was in this disgusting hostel in Milan. And I ended up staying in like her mansion in London for a month now.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
incredible.
and I think that's really important, like, when someone is nomadic, that they have to be like, "I'm keeping my friends." If we wanna keep ourselves in someone's heart, then we can always be there. I
Yeah,
think that's, like, the first way to look at that.
yeah,
Now when it comes to relationships, oh my god,
yeah, the romance. Tell us
I
about how has the romance been? I mean, 14 years
oh my
in different
god.
countries and
Well,
stuff.
I, like, was loved Indian boys, they were, like, my first love, but I never was able to really make a relationship with them.
Mm,
I don't know why. I think I blame it on the city that I was living in because it was like very conservative.
mm.
So people kind of like internalized that. And I'm out and totally proud. No one would ever confuse me as straight. So I never really got that. So when I moved to Egypt, I was like, oh my God. I was just like, it was like being welcomed in such a crazy place. I had no idea, like,
Wow.
you would imagine it's like this place would be kind of difficult or like aggressive, but at the end, I actually was. It was like I could feel I was like I was taking off this burden that was on me, like something that I was like needing to get rid of, which was just kind of like my own loneliness, I think.
Mm.
And I ended up having a story with a boy who I really fell in love with, and we've been kind of on and off. But we never really talked about it, so we were never really together. It was like a friends with benefits
The
situation.
situationship. Yeah.
It became a situationship that became so much more than that, so much deeper than that, and so many different things shared between that. And it's been really all of this traveling. I really realized is like, while it's a blessing, it can be like such a curse for the person that you're doing it with, like that you're together with. Because for like me, I was like, I'm off, I'm out, like not flippant about it, but like I'm gone. I'm going to India for 2 months. He like would always be there, like stuck at home, and then sometimes it just became so hard to like deal with our situation. It's been a mirror, that I will say, about travel as escape, travel as an antidote, travel as and the imbalance of travel, and that has really shown me I need to be a better person, because I really really hurt someone really badly.
So do you feel like there's part of this lifestyle that feels like you're running away from certain things or certain feelings or
Surely,
issues?
yeah. I would say it's like, there's a beautiful quote: travel can be a black mirror. The more that you do it, the more alone that you feel. Like,
Mm,
the more alien that you feel. Like,
yeah.
it's about this idea of being like a foreigner in a foreign land. So I think what happens when we travel is that we start to see that things are not fair in the world. And I think it becomes that it's like it's really important that we think about those things and learn from those experiences. And where I am right now, after this, I guess it's like a breakup, like knowing that I can't be together with this guy anymore, knowing that I have such a great love for him, is I have to be more honest, and I have to like and I actually have to settle down.
Mm.
That's what I've always been looking for. I think that's why I'm always going to many different places, is because I'm looking for that. Where is my home? Where do I feel? And I heard a lovely, another last quote: home is where you finally stop running away.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I heard that and I loved that, because I've run away from every home that I've had. I ran away from
Wow.
my home. I ran
Yeah.
away from India. I ran away from Egypt. Each place I go to, I have this idea: is this the one? Is this where I'm going to find him? Is this where I'm going to like settle down? Is this where I'm going to get married? Is this where I'm going to like start the life? Is this where he's going to support me and I will support him? And like, I think that's like such a beautiful concept. And I want someone that is like, wants to be on that journey together with me of life.
Mm.
There's a beautiful word in Hindi, hum safar, like
Oh,
traveling together. Hum is we, safar is to travel, like we travel. Like, I want to find someone that wants to like build that life with me and is able to build that life with me. Like, that was one of the
right.
reasons that this relationship in some ways can't work where I've been living, because how are we going to do it? Like,
Right. Right.
to have someone that can like reach me on my level, and I can be on their level, and we can create something together. So
Are you saying that you're hoping that you find somebody else who's interested in nomadic living, or you're hoping that you find a place that you wanna stay indefinitely?
I would prefer the latter, like
Okay.
a place that I want to stay, because what I'm loving about being in Georgia as well, hot tip, is a digital nomad capital. It's having a moment right now, along
Really?
with, yes, Tbilisi, Georgia. This is a great place for people if they're in the mood for digital nomadship.
Very
Bulgaria,
interesting.
I think it's a town called Baku. This is also
Oh.
apparently very good. Then, of course, Bali. But I love it because it's really offering me that sense of security, that sense of like homeliness, that sense of bourgeois comfort. Like, that's a comfort to me, of like having a couch and having,
Mm.
I just found out that I have like a TV that has Wi-Fi connected to YouTube. I was like, oh my God, what a luxury. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like really loving cooking right now. First time that I'm feeling really like my life is manageable. The
Mm.
outside stimuli are not overwhelming me. So I'm able to like focus on that seed of building my home. Is
Yeah.
this going to be my home forever? My 2-room flat? Who knows? It's giving me that first time and first taste actually in my life where I'm like, okay, maybe I'm
Mm.
ready to become sedentary.
That searching for a home or something that feels like home, do you feel like you've been searching for that in external factors when really it needs to be an internal shift of feeling like being at home wherever you are and then just making that decision to stay?
Half half. What I would say is that a place really has an impact on a mood, especially on my
Yes,
mood. I'm a very
totally.
emotional.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
Let's say you're living in in like a frat house with 25 people and
Right.
they're having parties all the time, but your main thing is I want to do yoga. You know, like you can try as much as you want to do yoga in that place, but at the end of the day, the external thing is not helpful and
Right.
not conducive to what it is that your search is.
The home environment is very important, and obviously the country and the country's policies and all that very important. Do you feel like you are overwhelmed by the amount of options that you have as somebody that
Yes,
could live in a million different places because you
yes,
can? So
yes,
it's hard to pick,
yes,
right?
yes. But
Yeah.
you know, my main thing, this is like my guilty pleasure, is that I look up, okay, this is another hot tip for your listeners. I look up these properties in Italy,
Mm.
which you can get like a house in some random Italian village for like $10,000, like
Really?
a proper house. I'm not
Total,
joking.
like buy a house for 10 grand.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
please send
want
me the
to in
link.
on an Italian that is like my go-to when I'm feeling sad. I go to like these websites and I look at like these different they're like apartment, like whatever. I look up whatever random stuff like from 10K to 35K. And that I know is like a searching thing. Do you know? Like that I
Right.
really need that. Like I need to, you know, like this, especially these last 3 years, and like really nomadic. Whereas before I was like living in India, like this
Mhm.
is my life.
Could imagine because you do have this excitement and passion around travel and new places that when you are thinking globally the way that you've done, you could spend your whole life going from place to place and still not going everywhere you've ever wanted to go. And
Sure.
that can be very overwhelming. And I bet you could find your own little nook of every city or town or country that you
Yes.
go to and be like, I could be happy here because maybe this is, it's peaceful or I like the scenery. That exists probably everywhere.
I think that's like the main thing right now is like, you know, like travel will always exist. It'll be something that I'll always want to do. But there is a point where I want to have like, I'm going to live here. I'm going to make my life here. And that's the story.
Yeah. Every place that you've lived or traveled to culturally or policies, are you able to be openly gay everywhere? Are you able to be affectionate with men in public?
No,
Like, what has that been like for you?
those are like the three worst. So India
Right.
is number one. India is amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
India is going through a sexual liberation right now. They're going through a
Mm.
revolution. Firstly, when I arrived, homosexuality was like criminalized under a specific penal code. Then it was revoked. Then it was like reinstated. Then the Supreme Court was like, actually, it's legal to be gay. Yay. So that meant open the floodgates. The gays were like, let's party, let's have fun, let's do what we want to do. Then there's also, that's the public side. Then there's the private stricture of conservative family politics and dynamics in group families. But what was great was that like in India, you can walk around doing anything you want. Like people are like, as long as it's not bothering them, like they're just like curious, but they're
Yeah.
not aggressive.
Okay.
Uh, in Middle East, it's a different story, but there's a really rich culture of like gays. Do you know, like they are not able to be like expressive because of government and family dynamic, but there's like a lot of systems of mutual support and a community. And then what happened in Georgia, Georgia is like half half, kind of a strong and anti-establishment gay culture, like more queer it seems. But then you also have like really strong homophobia, like where they get beat down.
Oh my
Like,
God.
yeah.
So have you been in
So
a situation where you've been scared or you felt threatened being in
no,
certain places?
I've learned a lot from my friends about how to be in a situation, about how to feel calm when I'm scared. And you know, I recently something happened where I was just seeing like it was some stuff that was making me really sad, and I ended up crying on the street with in like the arms of my best friend Kristen. And this group of like four boys like followed us and they kind of like threw stones at us. And he was so calm. It was an amazing way of like how to diffuse a situation. They were like, "Are you gay or something? Like, why were you hugging?" You know, and he was like, "Look at him. He was like crying. Do you not hug your friend when he cries?"
Yeah.
And he's from India, so he's also having to deal with like navigate these different situations much more
Yeah.
because he's coming from a more prevalent homophobic society. So he had like these tools, and I'll never forget it because he appealed to the human side of the aggressor.
Right.
And gay or straight, like my friend is crying and I'm like helping him out. And that was the first instance. And I thought that was like really something amazing.
Wow. So I have a question for you about your physical items, your stuff, because you know
Oh my God,
I
yeah.
like the minimalism stuff, and you have been absolutely a minimalist.
Yeah.
What's your relationship like with stuff, and what do you take with you? What do you leave behind? How do you make those decisions?
That can also be difficult. Firstly, clothes, they come and go. I cannot keep them. Even things like shoes, underwear, I'm like, where did those go? Like, that's really
Where
weird.
did those go?
I don't know. And I've learned my new lesson is I don't take clothes with me anywhere I go. I take
Mm,
3 days worth of clothes because I know exactly how to mix and match my outfits. One formal outfit. I'm not talking formal, but like something,
yeah,
you know,
something you could
like
dress up.
we're
Yeah.
talking shirt and pants. If you have space to put a belt so that when you step out on the street, I'm looking decent. Okay.
Mhm.
Then you have a workout outfit. Then you have like t-shirt, 2 t-shirts, whatever you want, a pair of shorts and another pair of pants.
Yeah.
And one, maybe another long sleeve. So 2 long sleeves, 2 or 3 t-shirts, workout thing, underwear, socks, whatever shoes situation you need.
Yeah.
Accessories are always a great friend. So belts. I'm going to show you one thing. So this is like
Oh, is that a headband?
it's a
Ooh.
diadem headband.
Oh my gosh. You
Yes,
look
it's
fabulous in
amazing.
that.
This is a party accessory. So if you like to go out, it's good to like take a few key items. I learned a very great method of packing. I think it's Marie Kondo's packing. It's really good. Like
Ooh.
it really saves the space. Like you make it into like a little package.
Yes.
And that really saves a lot of space.
Like a little flat
So
burrito, right?
like a little flat burrito, like an
Yes.
envelope. Towel, like I always have these like sarongs that work as a towel and they also work as a cover up. So I never
Oh,
carry a towel
smart.
with me. I use a sarong. So
Smart.
a thin towel is the best because it takes up no space and it dries in a second.
Yeah.
Little bags are your best friend. Little bags to keep everything organized.
Yeah.
Like little bags for jewelry, little bags for toiletry, little bags for passport. Then things get really, really organized and it's really nice. Like little
Right.
pouches.
Yes.
Those are lovely. And those
Yes.
are the best things to buy. Like, like you'll pull out a pouch and be like, oh, I got that one in Bangkok. Oh, I got that one in Nairobi.
Functional
Then,
souvenir. I like it.
yes, I always wear a suit coat on plane or some sort of jacket, like a chic jacket, so that I always have a jacket. Anything
Yeah.
further, I never carry bulky items because I always am like, let's say I go to Canada. If I need to go to Canada or Russia, I'll go to a flea market and I will buy a puffy coat. But I'm
Mm,
not gonna like bring my puffy coat and keep my puffy coat in my wardrobe because I'm gonna wear it once.
mm.
So I cycle through things a lot. So I never buy anything unnecessarily. That's how I
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
look at clothing. The one thing that I always travel with, I love my like journals and my books. Like I take whatever the book is that I'm reading. I don't have a library. I get rid of the
Mm.
book.
Yeah. Right.
Then I have this file that I have like carried with me for 14 years that is full of pictures, letters, snippets, collage items, art pieces, whatever, like sketches, anything that I like continually refine. I take things out of, but it's like my scrapbook that I carry with me.
Oh,
And
that's
that is
nice.
always in my carry on.
That's sweet.
Because anything that I can leave, anything can be lost in my bag.
Mm.
But like, if that was lost, I would feel really hurt because it's like the thing that I've been like holding with me.
Right.
There's my tiny backpack. That is my, travel thing. And then there's like my dowry trunk. Okay, these are my towels, these are my sheets, these are my bed sheets. You know, I'm like, okay, because I do move, eventually I find a place to live, and I also like things to look aesthetic. So now I'm like kind of building a bit of a collection.
Yeah, all these collections of all the places that you've lived is very cool. It's going to make up your home, which is nice.
Yeah.
So, where you are right now, what are you hoping that this next chapter brings for you?
I would say like a beautiful space. I'm living in it right now. I'm seeing how much that is really, really helping me. That is
Nice.
on my terms, not living
Right.
in someone else's house,
Yeah.
like not living on someone else's rules. I love to keep things clean, so that's really, really nice. So I would say right now, like in the 3 month future, it's cooking and working out. That will be then as well some sort of career development. I'm giving the middle finger.
As you're flipping off.
Yeah. Like, I'm giving myself 3 months. I'm not being cruel or hard on myself. I've had a really very, very hard year, and I've really worked a lot and gone through a lot. So that is kind of like nesting phase. If
Yeah.
the man who loves to go hiking wants to take me on amazing adventures in the wilderness and make love to me, and I make love to him under a waterfall, that would be
Yes,
amazing. He's
please.
also
We're
6
putting it
foot
out there.
2. 6'2" would be best. I mean, he should be financially stable. He should be interesting and funny, and he should really, really, really turn me on. And that would be
What a list. I mean, you're putting it out there literally and figuratively
yes,
by doing this podcast and putting it
no.
out energetically
Yes.
and that.
I need to like really set the house right, and I need to be the fucking man that I want to date.
Yes. I love be the person that you want to attract, right? Because you're naturally, organically going to put yourself in these places when you're doing the things that make you happy. Do you think that your happy medium would be you have a home base, but you do a lot of travel with your partner? Like,
Sure. And solo.
yeah. What would you want to say to somebody who is curious about nomadic living or anything,
Do
like
it,
that?
do it. And you know what? Watch that movie Nomadland. But I think it's a great movie. It's a great story because she is like doing that on a dime. She wants to like live her life, and
Mhm.
she's gone in an RV. And she's like in her 50s. So don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it, because people, and don't let anyone say that your life at 30 is done. Like just because you've had kids, or just because your kids are like grown up or whatever, or just because you didn't finish college, or just because of whatever it is, there are so many different ways of doing it. And I think that's what makes it so special. Like I found my own unique way. Every day I feel so blessed because it's like the moment I jumped, I was like caressed by everyone that were like rallied to help me, that all the people that I met, all of like the support that I've been given. Because if you really give yourself into this, so much comes back to you. All of those pressures, all of those feelings, they just change. If someone is living in their main like box world, like then everything outside of that box is going to look like really overwhelming.
Right.
But then when we get out of that box, we'll see just how small that box is and how
Yeah.
wide the world is. Before someone does embark on that, I would say, like, really understand what are your triggers and what are your non-negotiables. Like,
Mhm.
if you need it clean, make sure you figure out where it is that you need to be clean. Like, that's why I would always recommend for a one-time person, first-time person to like find a workaway,
Yeah.
find some situation. If a friend is somewhere, like you have a good friend living in Barcelona, be like, okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go to Barcelona. Like,
Yeah.
take easy steps. And we find in ourselves such a strength. We make space for new things. Like it's like a constant expansion.
I love the tip of kind of choosing something if you want to start or try this for yourself, starting with what feels accessible to you or what's a good match
Yes,
for your personality. You have a friend over here or you've always wanted to go here, so find a workaway thing,
yes.
exchange for that.
For English teachers that could
Right.
teach you. that are feeling burnt out, you'll get a job in Egypt, you get a job in Korea, you get a job in Serbia, get a job in Spain. Like Spain, they offer crazy programs for teachers, like nurses. You know, like if you have some sort of skill, then you really can find very easy access, very easy career paths. So play on those skills as well.
No, I think it's a great shift of, you know, you've been thinking within your own box, whether that's your local community or your city, and how can you shift to think globally for yourself if you've been feeling really stuck and feeling like there's not much opportunity or possibility for you. What would it look like if you opened up the entire world as an option? I mean, that is pretty powerful, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really
Use
cool.
your lines to figure out where it is best for you.
Yes.
Astrocartography.
Can be their spokesperson, Will. Maybe that's going to be your new gig. Will, thank you so much for opening up about all of this and giving so many hot tips. I mean, tons and tons of hot tips. You know I love those. Where can people find you if they want to connect, or other resources that you want to plug? Yeah.
Anyone is welcome to slide into my DMs. I'm very friendly. I will answer any of your questions.
That's sweet.
And when we travel, I think it's imperative that we help people out. I love to give tips. I love to help people. I love to put people in contact with people. And I love to get to know new people. So Instagram, ARRE_LUMBU. That spells Lambu. That means hey tall guy in Hindi. So
I love that. I didn't know that.
I have a blonde wig on in the picture, and if you have any questions about you want to get into it, I am happy to talk to you about it. Really,
that's so generous of you. I mean, yeah, you have almost 15 years of experience with this kind of lifestyle. I mean, you're an incredible resource for people. So thank you for being willing to do that.
Oh my God, maybe I can be a consultant.
I love it.
Delanie, thank you. You are an amazing host.
Oh, thank you. Well, you're an amazing guest, and I love you, and I miss you, and I hope I can see you in real life soon when you take a break from your incredible lifestyle and you come visit me.
No, I want to do it. I was saying next trip, I want to do a little bit of nomad work in the West.
Yes.
You guys.
There you go.
I aunt in Montana, an aunt in New Mexico, and an aunt in Tucson.
Well, we're happy to be one of your stops. And I like how I say, come visit me and not come visit your brother. When you come visit me.
He never called me, so I'm happy that you married him. Because I like you much more.
I love you.
Love you.
Thank you to Will for all the awesome stuff he shared today. And you can reach out to him on Instagram at ARRE.LUMBU. And again, you can join my email list for free at DelanieFischer.com. And at the time I'm recording this, I believe we're all caught up on Apple Podcast reviews. So I think we're getting close to hitting 3,000 reviews, both with written reviews and stars reviews. I don't know what they're called, you guys. So if you'd like to leave a review for the podcast, we really appreciate it. And it will definitely get read on the very next episode that we record. And I will get a chance to thank you personally and say hello. All right. Hope you all have a good rest of the day, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in to Self-Helpless. You can find our brand new merch, Patreon community, and other fun goodies at selfhelplesspodcast.com. We'd be thrilled if you left an Apple Podcast review, shared this episode with a friend, or post about it on Instagram and tag us at Self-Helpless Podcast so we could repost you and say hi. As an independently produced show, we sincerely appreciate your support. Thanks, everybody.